Good morning, boys and girls, and very welcome to our first 2021 Kids Church. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and New Year's time, and here we are again, starting a new year. A very bumpy start, isn't it? Again, lockdown, and at the time I'm recording this video, I'm not sure whether your schools will open or will remain closed. So I decided I'll make myself a cup of tea in my favorite mug. Now it's favorite not only because tea is my favorite drink, it is my favorite mug because of what is written on it. That's my favorite Bible verse, and I want to wish you Happy New Year with it. It comes from the book of Prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. Can you read it for me? For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and hope. And I wish we all believe in this promise that God gave us. Whatever plans He has not revealed them in details to us, but we can rest into the assurance that they are plans for future and for good. Now, today's story follows in what we will be learning in the last 4 weeks about Prophet Elijah. When at the appropriate time, God took Prophet Elijah in heaven, and Prophet Elisha, his student, remained to continue his teacher's ministry. Now, if you're like me, you might have to think twice before pronouncing the names Elijah and Elisha. In English, they sound very similar. However, when the old prophet Elijah and his young student Elisha were ministering together, they trained a group of men to teach God's word. These men, they were something like a Bible college students. The only difference is that they were called the sons of prophets. Elijah and Elisha taught them how to understand God's word and how to teach it to people. So there were these groups of sons of prophets around the land of Israel. Now, some of them, probably most of them, were married, had wives and children. So, on one hand, they had to provide for their families, and on the other hand, they had time to study God's Word. Oh, but I'm actually running ahead of myself. I can see David and Rebecca Duarte from Cork waiting patiently to open our kids' church with our song, which is our prayer as well. I love you, Lord. Let's all join Rebecca and David, and then I'll continue with my story.
I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, all my soul. Rejoice to glory, to be Lord and King. A sweet sound in your ear. Dear Jesus, thank you for helping me from every trouble I've had in my life. Thank you for forgiving me from all my sins, and thank you for giving me this wonderful world.
So, boys and girls, you remember that I told you about those sons of prophets, the students of Elijah and Elisha, who was studying the Bible and also had families to look after. Our story for today starts with a problem. One day, something very sad happened to one of these families of sons of prophets. The father, one of sons of prophets, died. He left behind a wife and 2 sons. They were very saddened by his death. Now, you have to understand their situation. They not only missed the man who died, but they didn't know how they would survive. Women didn't have jobs to work at these times, and the boys that were left were still little. When they were married, the husband made the money to pay the bills and buy food. When this woman was married, she had everything she needed. After her husband died, somebody knocked on the door. It was a man who was looking for money that the widow's husband owed him. Her husband had an unpaid bill with this man. The man wanted his money now. "I am sorry, sir. I have nothing to pay you for the money my husband owed," the widow may have said. "Well, ma'am, since you don't have money to pay your husband's debt, the law says I can take your 2 sons and make them my slaves to pay for the debt of your husband. I will make them my slaves." Believe it or not, kids, in those days, poor family could sell their children as slaves to pay for their debts. How do you think the widow felt? Not only her husband has just died, but now she was going to lose her only 2 sons. What could she do? She had no money to pay and nothing to offer this man to pay the debt her husband owed. She was hopeless. Have you ever felt hopeless? Maybe you went outside riding a bicycle all alone and suddenly you crashed and it hurt. Maybe you've gotten lost. That's scary, isn't it? I remember one day me coming from school, and my mom wasn't at home, so I was locked out. I was frantic with fear. Or probably someone you loved has just passed away. Or your friend has hurt you someday. We feel hopeless, just like the widow did when she had to pay the debt and did not have the money. Poor widow, she needed not only peace and hope among her hopelessness. She needed a real help. She needed a plan. She knew that Elijah was God's prophet, and she went to him and said, "Your servant, my husband, was a good student, but he died. And, he feared the Lord. Now that he is dead, a man came to me asking for me to pay for my husband's death. I have no money." Elisha said, "How can I help you? What do you have in your home that you could sell and get money?" The widow said, "All I have is a single jar of oil." The story is recorded in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 4, the first 7 verses. Well, you see, Elisha and the widow couldn't do much with the little that the widow had, but God could. Elisha knew that God gives us what we need. Sometimes we may feel like the poor widow. We may feel that the little that we have is just not enough. We may feel that we can't sing like others. We're not as smart in school like others. We can't play sports as good as others. As we learn from the story today, God used what the widow had, the little oil that the widow had. Because, boys and girls, even what we think we have is insignificant, it is much in God's hands. When God is involved, even the little things grow significant. So, what was the plan? Elisha told the woman to go herself together with her 2 sons and borrow all the jars from her neighbors. Any empty jar in the neighborhood was meant to go in the widow's house. And he said, after you do this, you go inside your house and lock the door. She went together with her sons and picked up a lot of empty jars, went into her house and did what the prophet said, locked the door. Then she followed the Elisha's instructions. Elisha said, get the little jar of oil that you have and start pouring that oil into the empty jars. And that was as simple as it is. As the widow was doing this, her 2 sons were helping her, and she started pouring from her little jar of oil into the big empty jar, and the big empty jar got full up to the brim. Her sons took this away and brought another empty jar, so the widow kept pouring into the second one, and the second one got filled as well, and the third and the fourth, and suddenly she said, okay, bring me the next one. And there was no other empty jar because she managed to fill all the empty jars with the little jar of oil that she had in her house. She quickly ran to the prophet and said, there I am now sitting at home with all these jars full of oil. That's a miracle. What can I do with them? And Elisha said, go and sell them. The money that you get, go and pay back your husband's debt. That was definitely a miracle. And it teaches us that God could use the little that we have and multiply it. It teaches us as well that God gives us what we need. Let's look at the next video and see how God really cares for our needs.
I'm Kayla and I'm 14. The things I like to do are swimming, painting, puppeteering, writing. I have hereditary sensory autonomic neuropathy. Try to say that 10 times fast. There's about 30 people in the world that we know of that have the disorder. It means basically that I can't sweat, I can't get too hot. High temperatures are very dangerous. So we have to be very careful so that I don't get a fever. I also can't feel pain. Other people would stub their toe and scream. I wouldn't. If I would pick up like a kettle, like where you boil water, and if I were to touch the thing, most people would jerk their hand back because they know it's hot. But me, I wouldn't know right away. It would be like, oh look, my hand's touching the kettle, like oops.
You don't think that pain can be a blessing, but pain is a blessing because it helps you know that something might be wrong.
It has to be 65 or below to be outside.
There were times we waited until 3 o'clock in the morning, in the cool months to be able to take her to the park so she could play outside.
This is my vest. It keeps me cool. It absorbs my body heat. I mainly have to wear it like when we go to stores, when we go to a restaurant. I can't do most sports, really. Swimming is the only one I can do. People do come over and they're like, wow, how do you live with this? And it's like, it's my normal. I've always lived with it. I'm still the same as many other teenagers. You know, I can text, I can read, I can write. I mean, it's normal to me. So I am now the youngest published full-length novelist author. This is our book, No Safe Haven. It's a suspense Christian fiction. There's bad guys, there's good guys, there's animals, there's all kinds of stuff in it. So
We really have a lot of fun, and we love spending time together, and we love being a family.
I think the best part about having a brother is that he's always there. We've always been best friends, and I know that's really strange, especially coming from a teenager, but since we're all each other has, it's kind of like, you know, have a brother or don't have a brother. Have a brother, you know.
Every day it's an adventure. There's something new happening every day. We watch a lot of movies, we play a lot of board games, and
They've always been best friends, and he has been her protector and my extra set of eyes, which is really great.
Josh has always been right there beside me, and, you know, it's, you know, you get a disappointment, oh man, I can't do that. Josh is like, oh, here, we can go do this instead, you know. I've been very blessed with a great family who loves me, and I love them. I had brain surgery about almost 5 years ago. My brain was too big for my skull, and it started to squish down onto my spinal cord. And so they had to remove the lower portion of my skull and put a patch there. And it was really fixed. I mean, it was a God thing, totally. We had lost our house because I had brain surgery and because there were so many medical bills and stuff piling up that we just had to sell it. Somehow Extreme Makeover just got all of these nominations from people everywhere, churches, schools, stuff like that. And so they came and they built us a house they called it Kayla friendly.
And Extreme Makeover did their homework. I mean, they really knew what they were doing, and we don't have to take our temperature all the time.
You know, it's got the purification systems, it's got the air conditioning, the alarms if the house gets too hot. It's an amazing house. They wanted to make sure that we had plenty of stuff to, you know, do here. And so we have a bowling alley in the basement. One left. We have an ice cream parlor and a schoolroom. I was just very excited when they came. It was almost like an overload. The only emotion I really felt was excitement, like, ooh, we get a house, you know. I'm gonna have a normal life now, you know. I actually have not had any doubts about, you know, why God made me have this disorder, you know, anything like that. God has really blessed me, and I think He's just really touched my heart and said, you know, here it is, I made you special. If I were to give someone a message, I think it would be, you know, God is always there. Don't ever doubt that. You know, there's joy in every situation. I mean, even though, yes, I've had brain surgery, I have to live with this disorder. It's not like it's bad. I mean, and look what God's done through it. I'm the youngest published author. I have a puppet ministry. I can swim, you know. God has really blessed us in every way.
Happy Sabbath, kids. Lovely to virtually see you at our Sabbath school for the children. So I do have prepared one lovely activity for us to go a little bit deeper for this Bible story, what you have just covered about Elisha and how he did help the widow with the oil and the jars. So I will start with something what you probably know. Have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen this one? It's a microwave popcorn. And have you ever wondered what's inside? I'm definitely sure that you know that if you ask your mommy to do the popcorn in the microwave, you know these little things. So when we open it, so we will get this lovely sachet. And then we fold it, and then we will put it to the microwave. And what's happening in the microwave? So the microwave is turning around, and inside of the bag there are loads of little things which we called kernels. Do you know these little ones? The yellow little seeds, corn seeds, they called kernels. and there's loads of them in the bag, loads of them inside. And together with them, there is as well the oil. And when it's going in the microwave, so the oil is heating nicely, and then suddenly, instead of those little yellow kernels, we will get something else. You might guess what it is. We will get a lovely popcorn. They all will pop out, and they will have a different shapes and different sizes. And that's the final product what we like the most. Some of them, they are just salty ones. Some of them are just with the butter as well. And that's really yummy. It's really tasty. So I've prepared already one bag of popcorn. So this is my bowl. So this is already popped out popcorn from one little bag, such like this. So I will put this here into the bowl. I don't need the scissors anymore. I don't need the crumbs anymore. But what I will need is now, the same as in the story, the widow needs to have loads of jars. So we will need to have loads of cups, as many as we can, because I have no clue how many cups we will be able to fill with this one bag of pop-out popcorn. So you might guess now, will I be able to fill out 2 cups or 4 or 6 or 8 or maybe more? So you can just guess, okay? And what we will be start doing, I will start to put them all into those lovely cups. So take them all, so you can start to guess how many I will need. So this will take a little bit of time, but don't worry, we do have time. So I will start to fill them. So we have 1 cup full. So did you guess 1 cup? So who did guess 2? So we have 2, and we still have more. So you can still go, and we have 3. And then we go 4. Not on the table, they all have to go to the cup. Then we have, this is number 5. So who guessed 5? We still have more. And then we have 6. Look, I still have loads of. You really fill them up to the top, that it's really full. And still 2 more, so I'm not sure if we will be able to fill them all. We'll do our best. So 7 cups. So who did guess we will fill out 7 cups? And almost there. Look, it's a bit messy, goes all around. And we still have 1 more. So will it be 8 or more? We're nearly there. Look, and we really do have 8 cups. So whoever did guess that we will have 8 cups full of popcorn from 1 bag, you were right. Look, they're like the soldiers here now. So well done to everybody who did guess 8 cups. So we'll put them all around. So we fill them out. And if you imagine, this was the beginning. This little bag of popcorn suddenly filled out all those empty glasses, and suddenly we have 8 cups. It's still a little bit the same like what we heard in that story, what Elisha did for the widow. God knows exactly what we need. He knows what we need. And through the Bible story, he used Elisha to turn a little bit of oil, a little bit of popcorn, to turn into 8 full of cups to turn to full of jars of oil that the widow could be saved with her sons. And that's exactly what God do. He knows what we need and He will always provide. God bless you all and have a lovely, lovely Sabbath. Bye now.
Hello everyone, my name is Minu. I am going to teach you how to make coconut oil exfoliating face scrub. This face scrub helps deeply nourish skin, removes makeup. You need small container with lids, 1 cup of coconut oil, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of honey, 2 drops of vanilla essence. Now let's see how we prepare it. Coconut oil, sugar, honey, vanilla, mix all the ingredients. Increase the amount of ingredients if you want to make more. For best results, apply 2 to 3 times a week. Now we will store it in the containers. Now we have filled the containers. In the Bible, it says the widow needed oil. Jesus gave her enough oil to fill many jars.
The story of Elisha and the widow's oil teaches us about how God provides for our needs. In the book of Philippians chapter 4 verse 19, it says, "My God shall supply all my needs according to His riches in glory." But sometimes there are plenty of things that we want, but sometimes our wants aren't our needs. So when we ask God for things, we don't always get what we want. You probably heard the saying, you can't always get what you want. And it's true. So if God only provides for our needs, but does not answer our prayers for wants, it's very important for us to know the difference between a need and a want. So let's watch a little video to help us understand better the difference between needs and wants.
A very important money skill to learn is the difference between needs and wants. But for children, that can be tricky. Put simply, a need is something you must have to survive, like food, water, and a home. A want is something that's nice to have, but you can actually live without, like an ice cream or a new skateboard. The story of Larry the fish helps explain the concept. Larry's swimming in his bowl and it's time for lunch. Oops! His bowl gets knocked over and he falls out. But phew, he's quickly scooped back in. So, what are Larry's needs? He needs fish food to eat and water to swim in to survive. But what's something Larry might want? Maybe a little castle to swim through. Now, here's a quiz to try. Call out an item and your child has to answer that it's a need or a want. Drinking water, chocolate, bed, TV, etc. It's good fun to do at home and you could try it at the supermarket too. Vegetables are needs and sweets are wants. Cash clever kids know they have to take care of their needs before they start thinking about what else they want, and they might even need to save up for it. Watch the other ASB Get Wise videos for more fun ways to help your children learn about being cash clever.
So let's do a short quiz. I will give you all phrases and you tell me if it's a need or a want. I have my lovely family here to help us out in this quiz. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. I'm thirsty. My car won't start and I'll be late for the airplane. My pet is out of food. I'm hungry. I need to go to the hairdressers. My shoes are full of holes. I need new clothes. I want a sandwich. My computer broke. I need a gift for my mom. I'm craving pizza.
Yummy.
I'm too cold. I'm too hot. I need to fix my house. I have a cavity in my mouth. I need a purple bicycle. Well done, everybody. I'm sure all of you got this right. And thank you so much for taking part in this quiz. I hope you all understand now the difference between a want and a need.
Bye-bye. See you next week.
Lord, I want to be pleasing to you in everything I do, and I want to love you more than yesterday, more than words can say.